Good evening, everybody. Uh, Daquan Boyce here again, about to give you another speech on homeless veterans. Today, of course, I have my girlfriend as my audience member, so let's get into it. So, like I said, my topic today is homeless veterans in the community. I'm going to be talking about how many are homeless, why and how they became homeless. I'll actually end up also giving a little spiel about myself on that, and then what we can do to help and prevent homelessness from happening more with the veterans. So, to start off, the Department of Veterans Affairs has said that homeless veterans are predominantly male. There's about 9% being female. In January 2014, there were 49,933 homeless veterans across the country. Um, of course, that is a pretty large number. They make up about 11% of the adult homeless population. I mean, um, during Operation Enduring Freedom, Iraqi Freedom, and Operation New Dawn, there were about 12,700 homeless veterans. That number was in 2010, and the number has just continued to actually grow since then. So now we're going to talk about, of course, why they became homeless. There's a lot of factors in that. Of course, some of them being drugs and alcohol taking over their lives. They can't get jobs, or the willingness to get a job is pretty low with some of them, and with some of them, it's just really difficult to get a job considering that they don't have many skills outside of the military mindset. That being said, with grunt units, all they know is basically infantry, so marching, hiking, and shooting weapons and blowing things up. So it becomes very difficult for them to actually find jobs. And like I said, I was going to give a little spiel about myself. I was actually homeless for a little bit, and as I've said in my introduction, I am also a veteran. Um, I became homeless because I was a big alcoholic, and I just came back from being stationed in California. My mother really did not like the alcoholism. We got in a lot of fights, and she ended up kicking me out. So, um, and without a substantial job, it was actually very difficult to find housing. And eventually, I actually had another friend that just took me in and helped me get back on my feet. And now I'm where I am today. Not an alcoholic anymore. Probably a good thing. And of course, the living situations have definitely improved, as you can tell. Um, so, of course, there's a lot of factors that can go into why they become homeless, but many of them have to deal with the fact that PTSD, being disabled, and depression. If you fall into a big depression, especially if you have PTSD, you're going to turn to drugs and alcohol for help, and then next thing you know, all you're doing is falling into a cycle where you're using all of your money from working to actually pay for your drugs and your alcohol, and then you're not paying for rent, and then you end up homeless. Um, Now, some things that we can do to prevent this from happening is, of course, creating a housing system that takes away the drugs and the alcohol, keeps the veterans away from the drugs and alcohol. giving them a support unit that they can actually fall back on whenever they start feeling depressed, especially especially when it comes to like the PTSD, helping them out with that. Um, if you also could figure out a way to get them programs where you could give them job skills once they get out, it would help a lot, because then those that went right after high school and did maybe 10, 12 years in the service and then come out with no other skills, at least a job force where you teach them skills that would actually help them get other jobs, which would also help to keep them from being homeless once they got out. Getting them other services, like mental health checkups. What else? Basically, just giving them a support network and job skills will help keep them from being homeless. So, in conclusion, the best way to keep about 11% of our population off the streets, mainly our homeless veterans off the streets, is to give them support networks, job skills, and just try to understand their potential sustainability in life, and just clean housing. Thank you. Have a nice day.